There has only ever been one Skylanders figure that has been recalled. Do you know which one it is? If you said Nightfall, you're correct. But do you know why it was recalled? Do you know how to tell the recalled version from the replacement version? I'll be answering these questions and more for you right now. Nightfall was originally released as part of Wave 2 during Skylanders Superchargers. This was in late September of 2015. Unfortunately, when Portal Masters brought her home, they were greeted with an error message in the game, stating, "This figure cannot be used with this game." This is a very odd message to see from a brand new figure in a brand new game. But thankfully, Activision was quick to act and issued this statement on their support site. Since the launch of Skylanders in 2011, Activision has been committed to delivering high-quality toys to our consumers. It has come to our attention that our software is unable to recognize the Skylanders Superchargers Dark Element character Nightfall. That's quite a mouthful there. As a result, we stopped the shipment of the majority of the toys before they arrived at retail. We will be reissuing the toy as soon as possible, and consumers should find Nightfall on shelves before the end of the year. If you have received a non-functional version of the Nightfall toy, please call 1-844-HELP-EON for assistance from Activision. We sincerely apologize for any inconvenience this may cause Skylanders fans. First of all, can we acknowledge that they created one of the best support phone numbers ever? But ultimately, what really went wrong here? Was the figure actually defective? As it turns out, the figures were fine. As they alluded to on the support page, it was a software issue. So that leaves us with the question, why did they actually have to recall the figure? If we fast forward a little bit, just about a week, we see Activision acting quickly once again. In this time, they issued not one, but 2 patches to the Superchargers game. I'm not sure if the first patch was just a test, but it only made the figure functional on the PS4. The second patch, version 1.3 of the game, made the figure functional on most other consoles. So honestly, if you had waited about a week, kept your defective figure, you could use that figure on most consoles within a week or so. However, they weren't able to patch the game on every console. The Nintendo Wii and the Nintendo 3DS were still non-functional when it came to Nightfall. So ultimately, I believe this is why they had to recall the figure. They needed to make sure that Nightfall would work on every console, and to make that happen, they had to issue new figures. To this day though, I am curious as to what the exact problem was. I have my theory, but think about this. After the update, both the original and the reissued versions of Nightfall worked on most consoles. They were never able to update the Nintendo Wii, yet somehow they were able to adjust something on the Nightfall figure to allow the faulty code on the Nintendo Wii game disc to register the Nightfall figure properly in game. I don't know what to say except that's some real magic. Now that all the figures are functional again, how do you determine which one is which? How do you determine if you have an original defective figure? Well, if you have a loose Nightfall figure, it can be tough. The only real way to tell would be to test the figure on multiple consoles. If you test it on the PS4 and it works, then you test it on the Nintendo Wii and it doesn't work, probably have a original defective Nightfall figure. On the other hand, if you have a new unboxed Nightfall, it's much easier to tell. In fact, there's multiple different signs. This part of the story actually confounds me more than the fact that the figure didn't work in the game. They messed up the packaging. Now, this isn't the first time that we've seen packaging errors by any means, but this was the only Superchargers figure to have major errors like this. So it seems oddly convenient to me that they'd had to recall the Nightfall figure, and it just so happened when they reissued the figure, all the packaging errors had been fixed. So what are you looking for? The original package has Nightfall as 2 words on the front of the box. The reissued figure correctly removes the space in between. Additionally, if you look at the back of the box, you'll find another error. In the center panel, they highlight the driver and their vehicle, combining to become supercharged. On the original package, it shows Spitfire and Hotstreak. The reissued figure correctly shows Nightfall and Sea Shadow being supercharged. While it took longer than I originally expected, Activision did hold up their end of the promise to get the new Nightfall figure reissued before the end of the year. It was in late December, but they did technically meet the deadline. I am curious though what went on behind the scenes. What happened to all the Nightfall figures that were recalled? Did they get destroyed, or were they just reprogrammed? If they were destroyed, I guess that means they produced an entire new batch of Nightfall figures in those 3 months? Maybe that's why it took so long. Obviously, we know they created new packaging because they fixed all the errors that were on the original package. But I'm curious how the rest of it went down. The world may never know.